welcome to the Sidewalk CEO Podcast, a podcast for small business owners by small business owners. Each week, the Sidewalk CEO speaks with Frankfort area business owners about their journeys, sharing insights and firsthand experiences that can help fuel your path to success. Here are your hosts, Sheri Donahue, CEO and Chief Cybersecurity Evangelist of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity, and Leo Haggerty, founder of TCHQ Communications.
Welcome to the Sidewalk CEO. I am Leo Haggerty from TCHQ Communications.
And I'm Sheri Donahue from Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity.
And on today's show, we have Sarah Began from Alchemy as well as Frankfort Suites. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Sarah, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I don't know how far you want me to go back, so you can fast forward me button any moment. So I'm a local. I was born here in Frankfort, and the only time I've really ever left was for basic training in 1993-ish.
Awesome.
And got sent back home with a medical discharge and then tried to figure out, what's the next thing. So went to college for some time for psychology and sociology because I was really into how the mind works and how people work and why they do the things they do. Mm-hmm. And had first marriage, was introduced by two downtown business owners that owns completely Kentucky in Wind Grove. She was my first job after I come back from the Army. And then Liz Taylor at the Poor Richard's Books, they brought me in and had me open up Kentucky Coffee Tree for them. So, because I'd worked for Ann for about 5 years while I was in college. And they introduced me to the husband, my first husband, because he taught their kids piano. So went in and I ran the coffee shop for him for a while. That was a great experience. I was probably around 23-ish then. But I'd worked for Ann at Completely Kentucky for years. She knew my work ethic. They had this vision for the coffee shop, and both of them were already running their own businesses. And they just invested, I guess, in the shop and also in me. So that was kind of my first rodeo with kind of doing a business. So I've kind of always been entrepreneurial.
So you saw, you learned the ropes.
I did. I learned the ropes. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, we got pregnant, decided I want to stay at home with the baby. Couldn't afford to do that really, so I opened up my own in-home daycare.
Oh, wow.
So I did that for a while. Part-time, needed some adult conversation. So a couple nights a week, I got a job at Elder Bierman and was their bridal consultant and worked with all the couples that would come in and working with their registries and with their clients that were shopping for them, and slowly kind of worked up through that, assistant manager and whatnot. Then first baby's gotten older, going into school. So now what are we going to do? Got my real estate license.
Oh, wow.
Had that on the burner. So I loved working with buyers. I was the opposite of most agents. They like to work with sellers. I like to work with buyers. My husband said it was perfect. I was spending somebody else's money. I got to go look at all the things,
Love
right?
it.
And I like architecture and stuff. So
and then you come home and say, I want to get a new living room suit, just like the one I saw today.
Or because I had the MLS, it's like, you won't believe this house that I just saw pop up on the multiple listing service, So,
we need to make an offer.
right. So, and helped him start his business at the time. Well, actually, he's still running it. He's at Intune Piano Service out in Jettown. Okay. So, we were together for many years and ended up going through a divorce. And at that time, I was in upper management at Elder Bierman, and then sales manager, and then human resource manager, and then assistant store manager. Then got remarried.
Okay.
And second baby comes along, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time to pull back from this again. And started doing, at that point, my first business, which was Frankfort Suites, and that was doing Airbnbs. So every job I've had, it's kind of fallen into my lap. We had this fourplex that came with the second husband, and we were struggling actually to keep quality tenants in there, and we were constantly replacing monies and stuff. And finally, I was sitting. You remember the old Farmer's Kitchen? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was sitting in Farmer's Kitchen having breakfast, and I looked over, and there was an apartment building on fire down like behind Wendy's area.
Yep.
And I was devastated just watching it, and after that saw the news and stuff. And then all of a sudden something put it in my stomach that, hey, you need to furnish one of your units. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, you guys are already putting personal money into this fourplex. It's about to put you under and bankrupt you. Why in the world would you go out and spend money to furnish a unit? And so, but I went to Greg and I said, I know this sounds crazy, but we're supposed to furnish a unit. So we did. It caught on right away. It wasn't actually a real short term. It was a gentleman, an executive that was going through a divorce, and he needed a place to stay because he wanted the wife and kids to stay in their original house so it didn't shake up the family too much. And so that kind of started my Airbnb journey. About every 2 years, I'd add on a new Airbnb. So that was really trying to initially save ourselves financially from going under with this fourplex that was just...
So it's just a matter of being willing to make changes as you're going along. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that just kind of took over at that point and started blossoming because I was the first Airbnb-er in town. This has been 14 years ago.
Oh, wow. It was before anybody knew how to spell Airbnb.
Yeah, I had to go to City Hall and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be paying you a transient tax like the hotels. You need to assign me a number. And so I met with people there and kind of handheld, and we went through that process. So I work closely with them anytime things come up or questions and things, and through the different changes that have been going on with that. And then people kind of heard about that and started coming to me going, hey, I know you do Airbnbs. Can you answer questions for me, or can you help with this or with that? And I would give them information. I'd give them information. I wouldn't go open it for them. My husband goes, why are you doing that? They're going to be your direct competitors. I said, because I trust God will support me with whatever I need. He always has from the beginning. So I just got to, I'm a helper. I always want to help people. So I can't say no,
Right.
So then next thing I know, I was managing others' Airbnbs. And I only did that for one gentleman. It was a business owner in downtown Frankfort that also needed financial help. COVID hit and he was going to go under. His business was downstairs. He had 2 empty apartments upstairs. He said, I'm in the middle of renovating this, but I'm wondering if maybe I need to do short-term something to save me because I've lost my income downstairs. Ooh. And so I met with him and I looked it over and I said, yeah, I think you should try this. And at that time, when COVID first hit, everything shut down completely, coming into the state. So even I had nothing. There was no income. But then within the governor opened the boundaries back up. At that point, it blossomed because everyone wanted to be in a more private setting versus a hotel when they traveled. So that got really busy. But then as what year was I in at that point? 12 years in, I guess, because I do all the cleanings and stuff myself. I'm
really?
not we're man-made built up. I came from a poor family. My husband came from a poor family, and ever so often, the universe will drop a little breadcrumber in front of us and say, you need to get on this path over here, I guess, because growing up, when people said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, happy.
I didn't
really
that.
I didn't really have a goal. I didn't have. I came with I grew up with a single hippie mom that didn't really direct me in any direction per se as far as colleges or anything went. That's why I joined the Army, because I thought, well, I need money for college. What am I going to do? I got to make a plan for myself, and so started helping him manage, and I was cleaning these Airbnbs. And while I'm in there, I'm like, this isn't serving me any longer. I understand that I'm helping people that are coming and they're enjoying their time with their families and they're having vacations, but this isn't feeding my soul. So at that point, again, we're in the middle of COVID, and I was starting one more private at that time. I'm at home. I'm blending my own herbs. I've always been into natural stuff. I've sold, things in the pickup line in school, roller balls and things to help kids and, moms and that kind of thing. But at that time, I was getting called to some herbal stuff. And what's all this crystals people are talking about? And is there any validity to this stuff? And what's the science behind that kind of thing? Because I'm a Gemini. So I'm like, I need more information. I need more information. I'm not just taking anybody's word for it, right? So because locked up in the house, I started doing some more herbalism studies, and then got certified into crystal therapies. I started working on myself, started working on my family and my kids, saw the results. It bleeds out to the friends or telling other people that I don't know me. Well, and at that time I'm doing crystal therapies in my Airbnb.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm in the middle of doing a treatment. I had one Airbnb that was like, okay, this is going to be my free, so I don't have to pay rent,
That's
anywhere.
great.
I'm just going to use this Airbnb when no one's in there. But then, I'm in that fourplex and other people are checking in on Friday and they're upstairs and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work very well because I'm doing sound therapy with them and we're hearing their own people are unloading their vehicles. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I just need a small little space to do these treatments. And so at that time, they had just finished the development over on Taylor Avenue. River Row is what they call that. So I went over to actually look at the building where Porter's is at. One little small room and a big room. And I thought, that's all I need. I just need a little treatment room and a larger room for group work. So I met, at that time, the landlord there, and she says, I'm so sorry, we just rented that this morning. And so I said, okay. She said, but I have this another one right next door. And I said, oh, I don't need anything that big. No, I'm just doing treatments. And she said, well, just come look. And I went over there and it was gorgeous. I mean, the bottom of it was 1.5 foot limestone, thick walls. It had cedar columns in the middle of it, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I called my husband. I said, I know this isn't what I initially said, but I've seen the space and I want you to come see it with me. And during COVID's when he started doing his paintings. So at this point.
So he's only been painting for
on canvas
4 or 5 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Now, he's always been an artist, but he would do some etching or he did some carving. He actually came to Kentucky through Berea. And so both his parents were pastors. And so they had little money. He actually got a full ride to Savannah Art School, but they couldn't afford the housing there.
Oh, no.
So he ended up having to come to Berea, which I'm thankful for.
Right.
So he started right at the beginning of COVID. I started sending him downtown to do sidewalk chalk sketches for a seek and find for people during COVID. Like they're outside their house, they need something to do. I said, honey, people need something. So I want you to go find a spot in downtown Frankfort and do one of your little sketches. And it was just, sidewalk chalk.
Oh, wow.
And people started really catching on and I started seeing his skill set and I was like, holy crap. And then he started putting stuff on canvas in the house. And I was like, oh my God, like I married Michelangelo or something like that. I'd already been with him this amount of time and I had not seen this yet come out. He hadn't seen this yet come out. So that's when his painting started, was also during COVID. Actually COVID brought some beautiful things to our family, closer knitting and kind of reevaluating life and what works for me and what it does. This feed my soul? Does this not feed my soul? Helping people. I feel I've always been a kind of a people pleaser and want to help people. And so that's kind of how Earth Alchemy happened. I was just planning on doing some crystal treatments on people. But then when I got this larger space than I was planning on, I went to my girlfriend who does therapeutic massage. And I said, I don't need all this space. And she was working over at Fit Time for Women, so she could only work on women. And I said, would you be willing to rent space here with me? And she said, oh my God, absolutely. That'll open up a whole other line of work for me that I'm not able to do.
Yeah.
So she came on board. Shelly's still with me. She offers therapeutic and prenatal and hot stone and deep tissue massage at the shop. And so that's kind of, and then the retail happened. I swore I'd never go back to retail after Elder Beerman. I'd been on salary for so long there. And it, in the holidays with retail, it's just, you don't get that family time, right? So I swore I'd never go back to retail when I started Frankfort Suites. Like, oh, this is it. I'm my own boss. I can do what I want to do. And then all of a sudden it's like, really? I'm doing retail again? But people were asking, they're asking for
There's
it.
a market you have to.
And Mark, which owned Nature's Way, COVID shut him down.
Oh.
He couldn't survive any longer after that, really. So we had lost our natural provider in town for natural remedies, pretty much, so I think that kind of kickstart that portion of it. And then I just kind of started paying attention to the contacts that I started meeting during that COVID time, and realized I know a lot of healers, and they all have different modalities. Most of these things, most Westerners haven't even heard of.
Oh, really?
And don't really understand. And so that kind of brought about Earth Alchemy. I'm the safe space. I'm the all-inclusive. I'm the landing spot. And if we can't provide for you, then I probably know somebody that can help in some way. And so that's got us current. That's where I'm at now.
Wow.
But you are not at the same location anymore, though.
No. So when we were on Taylor Avenue, I had gotten word that they were going to try to sell the building, and they came and offered it to me. The owners did. Mm-hmm. And I said, they told me the price, and I was like, that's a little out of my price range. Remember, I'm a self-starter. I've never gone to the bank other than for the mortgage for a property and said, hey, can I borrow money? So I was like, yeah. And at that point, I knew I was moving away from real estate, right? And so I said, no, I think I'm going to pass. And so finally, I got word that they had a buyer. And so I ended up speaking with her. She had asked to come into the shop several times to look at the space. And she said, I asked her, I said, well, do you mind me asking what your plans are with the building? Are you going to continue to lease to me? Mm-hmm. And she said, no. We're gonna put in ABC. And I said, okay, well, and so I knew at that point it's just a matter of time before I have to leave. So I said, well, I still had several months left on my lease because I'd signed a lease with my first property manager. So I said, how soon are you wanting to start doing this? Because I'm perfectly fine with looking for another space if you need I'm in real estate, and also have started many businesses, and I know there's certain time frames that you want to either open, or it takes time to get that prepped to be able to open. So I started thinking along the lines of her, because the new buyer was a real estate agent. The supposed new buyer. See, there's I'm telling you, crazy stuff with that location there. Anyway, so she said, no, we'd like to go ahead and start as soon as possible. And I said, great. Well, you just let me know when you're come up with a date, and we will make this happen quicker than later. Mm-hmm. So she said, as soon as I close on the property, you can rip up the lease. Okay, a little quicker than I thought, but I thought, well, I've got this house over on Broadway that I had moved out of. I used to live in it, but that was my largest Airbnb, and I've had legislators in there for the last 4 years. Oh. So I thought. And
you can't trust them.
Well, I had a good group, though. I tell you what, there was one I couldn't trust, though, and that's a whole other story.
We'll talk about that one off there.
Yeah, if you were to ask me what would you do differently, I could. I won't mention any names, so we could touch on that just a second. But anyway, so at that point, I had gotten the calls that appraisers are coming in. They're making their plans with the upstairs and the downstairs, because at that point I'd taken over the upstairs too. And so I thought, this is a for sure go. And I had been communicating with her. Okay, this is when I plan on being out. This is when I'm moving, all of these things. And then I've already moved out of the bottom of the shop. And the upstairs, I get a call from the new property manager. I go, Sarah, are you moving out of the building? And my jaw hits the floor, because I thought they were aware that the real estate agent / she had told me that all this communications were happening with them. And so I was then scared to death, because I'd already moved out and was in the other location, had kicked my legislators out, saying, hey, this next session, you need to find another place because I have new plans for the house. And so then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be legally responsible to cover 2 places. Mm-hmm. And this is a new business. Like, there's no way this is going to happen. So I had to prove, to the new property manager, look, thankfully, because I am who I am, and also being in real estate, make sure you got everything in writing. Oh, yeah. So I had all the conversations thankfully documented and said, this is what I've been told. I have been completely clear and transparent on what my plans were. And that thankfully saved me.
Wow.
So they released me from the lease, even though the new buyer fell through. at that point, evidently.
That could have been a nightmare.
That could have, yes. I ain't lying. I panicked for like a hot minute.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought, this is it. This is what's going to kill the whole thing. So we ended up moving over into our new location at the end of Broadway, which is right across from the current Farmers Market Pavilion, just on the other side of the railroad track.
Perfect.
And that has really fit our needs. We've got the whole house operates as the business. All the retail section is downstairs. And then we have our service rooms and our classrooms upstairs. So I do my crystal therapies upstairs. She does her massage work upstairs. I have a room that we'll have for monthly meditations or for classes where we meet upstairs. So it really panned out. And the energy down on that end of the street is great. I don't have the constant flow of traffic that I had right there at that intersection of Louisville Hill and Taylor Avenue. So as far as the type of business that I had, that location worked out better for me than actually a more visible location that I had in the first on Taylor Avenue. Mm-hmm. Although I love that house. And I really like Danny and his wife Diane. They initially were the owners they had done that development all on that street. Right. And because he had actually asked me to manage some of his Airbnbs too once, and I said, I got too much on my plate. So
yeah, you got a lot on your plate.
Well, I don't have all the Airbnbs anymore, though. I do have a small handful, but at that point, I said, my direction at this point needs to be of service and to do what feeds my soul. And at that point, I cut off, I turned in my notice with the fellow that I was helping down on Broadway. I said, hey, I've been warning you. I've been trying to help you find another manager, but I'm serious about this. Like, Michael, honey, if you don't find you another manager, I'm turning keys over to you Saturday.
Oh boy.
So that ended up working out. He ended up, because he had that business for sale forever. That sale went through him at around the same time that I was breaking away. So that connection, severance was well received on both ends. And I literally turned those keys over to him the Saturday before I opened up the shop.
Wow.
Since I have dropped my Airbnb inventory by half, I do still have that one fourplex building that has some short-term rentals in it. But the smaller houses that I had, I sold back to the community. I have a family member living in another small house. And then we turned the largest one we had into our current shop. So that's how we got where we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
well, now I want to know more about this crystal therapy. What exactly is that?
Well, it's basically physics. Okay. So the best way I can describe it, and I usually describe it in the shop, is, are you familiar with what a metronome is?
Yes.
Okay. So the tick-tock, tick-tock, they use them, my ex-husband used them for piano teaching. Okay. So if you, and there's actually videos out there on YouTube or Google, you can pull it up, that it will show you, then when you start one thing at a certain beat, a metronome per se, you've got 5 different metronomes lined up here. You start, and this is the best way because we can visually see it while I'm describing it. You start the first metronome going tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. You start the second one at a different beat. Right. You start the third one even at a different beat. All of these are in a line, and you're starting them at different beats. Within just a couple of, hardly any time at all, they'll all synchronize onto the same beat. It's physics. It's just energy. It's physics. It looks magic, but it's not. It's physics.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So the way the crystals work is when I have a client on the table, we have energy centers throughout our body. That's really well known in the Eastern philosophy, okay? Just so kind of getting familiar with in the Western. And most Westerners, when they do talk about chakras, which are your spinning energy centers, it's usually yogis, people who practice yoga, okay? Or some type of Eastern medicine, like say the Light Clinic. They practice Eastern medicine, okay? So they understand that we have a main meridian of energy centers that go down the middle of your body, referred to as chakras, and they all vibrate at a different frequency. Okay? So the crystals, our energy, yours and mine, humans, animals, okay, our energy fluxes all the time, depending on our environment, who we're around, the situations that we're in. So notice you can walk into a room, somebody's just had a fight, you can feel it when you walk in. Mm-hmm. Somebody starts talking about you, you know it when you walk in because they there's a certain energy that comes on.
You're feeding her paranoia. She always thinks people are talking.
Hopefully it's good.
Hopefully. I'm going to think that.
Ring all the time. Yeah. So anyway, so the concept is that we pull in energy on one side of your body and you push out energy on one side of your body. Your energy fluxes and changes all the time. It never stays consistent. Okay. And it can't. All right. However, a crystal, the crystalline structure of that crystal never changes. Okay. Never changes. So what happens is it stays at the same frequency and vibration. Okay. So when I take that crystalline structure, that crystal, that rock, whatever you want to call it,
right,
and I set it on top of that energy center, it's just a matter of time before it overtakes your energy center. It's called entrainment. That's the scientific. I forgot to mention that with the metronomes. It's called entrainment. That's the scientific way that it works. So if you were to study what entrainment is or how that works, then you'll understand crystal therapy a lot better. It basically, I put those crystals down your chakras and it will reset your chakras to the correct frequency that it should be at for your optimal health. And it is amazing how you feel after a session and how people feel when they come off the table. And different people will have different sensations when they're on the table, but a lot of them are very familiar. And I allow them, if they want, after a session, to share with me maybe an experience that they had while they're on the table. They feel they can do that. Most do. Some of them are still trying to process what just happened. Like, well, that was weird. Like, I was on the table, but I felt like I was levitating. Like, I knew I was on the table, but I didn't feel the table under me. And then somebody else may say, I got really cold, or I felt heat in my lower back, or I felt almost held down like a weighted blanket is put on top of them. And that's because I ground them very well before the process. So when I do my sessions, I'm not just working on the chakras. Initially, they'll come in. Let me rewind. I'm not just working with crystal therapy. I work with aromatherapy. So plant therapy. I work with the crystal therapies because I'm putting the crystals on them. Then depending on what I find with their chakras, if I see that a chakra is blocked, I'm going to clear it before I put that crystal on there to recalibrate it at the right frequency and vibration. But then I bring in sound therapy too. So singing bowls, because again, those frequencies are set specific to each one of those chakra areas.
Oh, wow.
So sound therapy, crystal therapy, aromatherapy.
So you're affecting every sense then at one time.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. And so it's very therapeutic to the person that's on the table. They get in there. I've talked them into their grounding meditation. I drop sound therapy even. So they're getting a certain hertz pumped through their headphone set the entire time that I'm doing what I do. And I'll tell them, you can keep your eyes open and watch me if you want to. I'm just going to ask you to save your questions till I'm done. Don't interrupt the process. Because if it's a new client, I'll have them in there for about an hour and a half because I'm very specific to explain to them what I'm doing to them, what they can expect, maybe some sensations that other people have felt when I'm going to touch them, because I'm only going to touch them twice while they're on the table, so they're not surprised. Because most people do kind of want to drop into that meditative state for that hour that they're on that table and just enjoy it. Some people fall directly asleep.
Oh, wow.
And I never tell you, if you snore, that's okay. I'm not going to tell anybody. It's private. It's safe space. Although I'm not the psychologist that I initially thought I was going to go to school for, I still like to keep that patient.
So what happens in crystal therapy stays in crystal therapy.
That's right. Eat whether you snore, whether you fart, or whether you cry. A lot of times, if I open up your heart chakra and it's blocked, and I open that up, a lot of times it'll allow those emotions to come
How often do people come and do this?
Well, my regulars, I'll probably bring them about every 2 to 3 months just to kind of keep a regular maintenance going on them.
Get them back into the right rhythm.
Yeah. Because the idea is that Eastern medicine works by prevention. Western medicine works on treatment.
Afterwards, right.
Okay. So the idea behind this is if we keep your energy centers clear, those will never manifest into physical, emotional, or spiritual issues. So 9 times out of 10, I don't ask. I'm not a doctor. I don't want to know what your physical issues are when you come to me. Most of the time people come to me, it's because they feel off, their energy's down, they're going through depression, they have anxiety, they've just gone through a divorce. There's been something that's shaken them, that they're unsettled, they're ungrounded, their energy is off. And usually it's because they've got a blockage somewhere in their energy. So I'll get up on the table, I'll do the session with them. Afterwards, I'll dictate with them what I found as far as their blockages go. Each one of those energy centers are tied to specific organs in your body. Okay, it's just like acupuncture.
Yeah.
Okay, so each one of those are assigned to certain organs. So it'll be funny. I'll say, well, your root chakra is blocked, or your sacral's blocked, or was blocked, because they get off the table fine, but it was blocked. And then when they see the physical symptoms that if that stays blocked, what that causes, they're like, oh my God, I have been dealing with A, B, and C. So it's a really cool validation because I don't even know when they get up on the table what it is.
Oh, wow.
They don't really know enough about chakras in the system to know that this spot 2 inches above my belly button affects A, B, C, and D.
Right.
You know, so it's an eye-opening experience for both of us.
Neat. Okay.
And some validation comes from it once they end their session. And then when they feel how good they feel and how that changes their energy, their anxiety's dropped, they may not be having those digestive issues that they were having before. They don't feel flighty and up in their head all the time. They're more grounded. Then they know they want to come back. And I keep it affordable because I feel like if I raise the price where everybody else in this country has those prices, I can't help the people who really need it because they won't be able to afford it.
That's the thing, because so you're in this because you really are wanting to help people.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be, no. I'm not trying to be corporate America.
Right. Well, and I saw on your, I guess it was on Facebook that you were having last week like a candle making class.
Yes, a vision candle class. Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun. So one of my goals with this, I mean, obviously I'm providing crystal therapy, but that's not for everybody, and that's okay. But I want them to find something that's going to help them feel better. And it seems that regardless of what modality they seem to resonate to once they find the shop, the one thing everybody has in common is the community.
Right.
Like, it's a safe space. They can come here. They don't feel judged here. They can talk about whatever issues that they're dealing with that life throws all of us. And it's safe space. I'm not going to judge them for that. I don't care what religion you come from. I don't care what job you have. I don't care what subdivision you live in. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what sexual preference you have. You are a human soul, and we all have the same needs. So that's kind of my thing, is provide the safe space and be a bridge to whatever it is that individual needs. And we all have individual needs. So I'll tell them, if crystals aren't the way that we can get your chakras in order, it might be sound. It might be yoga. There's a lot of different ways that you can balance your chakras and help yourself from an energetic perspective that will help free you from some of the physical symptoms that they're getting freed from when they come get treatments.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you talked a little bit about getting back into retail. What type of products do you have that folks might be interested in?
Well, we have one room that's kind of dedicated to all of our natural healing stuff. So as far as ointments, whether it be or salves, ointments kind of fall in the same category. That's what's in the bag. I went and picked these up today from one of my healers, and they'll melt if I leave them in the car.
Oh, sure.
So I've got comfrey and lavender salves in here right now. Okay, so comfrey would be for bones, and lavender can help a plethora of ideas. It's my number one healing plant. But in that room, anything that can help heal certain issues naturally. So my goal with the shop is to be earth-centered, earth-based, and all natural. You won't find anything with perfume fragrance in it or anything that's synthetic in any of the products we carry. Now, I don't keep it just in Kentucky like we used to at Completely Kentucky. Kentucky when I was working there. All those were sourced just from Kentucky.
That was
artists.
going to be my next question.
Yeah. No, I will try to find local if I can. Absolutely. I've got several local people in the shop. But if I can't find it, my goal is to help my clients. And sometimes I have to reach outside of Kentucky or outside of Frankfort to find those. So I do. So in that room, we have roller balls, we have salves, we have magnesium sprays, oils, butters, foot soaks, foot powders, beard balms, face care, lotions, body oils, hair oils.
Wow.
All the things in that
And
front room.
what room would that have been when it was a house?
That room was my office.
Okay.
That was my office. And then we move into the next room, which used to be my living room, and now it's the apothecary, or what I also call the round table. It's really it's a rectangular table like this, but I call it the round table because people gravitate there.
Oh, sure.
And usually have their meltdowns there. If they're going to have a meltdown, they'll come in, and right there, and there's one particular chair. I'm like, what is it with this space?
Mystical.
Right there, they melt down right there, and I just allow it to happen. Now, I will go get a piece of selenite to drop in their lap because this is one of the highest vibrational crystals that will raise their frequency very quickly. And I'll ask them just to put both hands on it while they talk to me. And when they do,
That's beautiful.
Thank you. The wings on that, that kind of reminds you of, what is it? Is it Aerosmith that used to have the wings on their album cover? I think it was. So
I was actually thinking Angels Envy Bourbon, but
that's true. Well, we are in that bourbon country, absolutely. So that is that particular.
and we will have a picture of this in the show notes because I just took a picture of it.
Oh, nice.
That's neat.
So that is my number one selling crystal because it's so high frequencied. Remember I was telling how you can pull energy on one side and you push out energy on the other? Okay, so that is your electrical circuit. It's your current. It's your vibrational flow, okay? When I hold on to something with both hands, I just completed my own electrical circuit.
Oh, sure.
This just became a filter system.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like a kidney.
Yeah. So basically, I'm pulling in energy here. It goes through my chakra systems and it leaves this side of my body. Okay. Now that I'm holding on to both of it with both hands, this has like become my filter system. And so because it vibrates so high, most what we consider to be negative feelings, sadness, anxiety, depression, fear, anger, jealousy, greed, all of those vibrate at a very low frequency.
Okay.
Okay, so when somebody's feeling that way, you could put a electrometer to them. It would be a really low vibration. Okay.
Okay.
So as soon as they put this in both hands, it will start increasing that frequency very quickly because it's filtering through.
Okay.
It'll raise. Okay, so look at the hair on my arms right now. See how it's starting to stand up?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how quick it works for me because I'm trained to feel energy. Okay, so at that point, this becomes people's best friend that deal with anxiety. They'll come to me, and I sell this in all different forms, little pebbles. So if you need to put it in your pockets so nobody thinks you're weird because you got a crystal that's helping you. If you're having to do a speech and you're super nervous about something, that'll help calm you down. Now, I'm not nervous, but I brought it actually, this sucker rides in my car. But when I got out of the car, I was like, just in case I get a little nervous, I think I'm going to take that in with me.
I love that.
Well, and I like the fact that she brought samples because when we had Sarah Boo from Rebecca Ruth on, she did not bring samples.
Oh,
and
shame.
I was very sad.
Oh, and she should have because they have like the best. Like the bourbon balls are the best, but their little turtles, oh my God. If you haven't had the caramel pecan turtle, yes. And now that they've opened, his wife has opened back up her tie. Oh my God. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it. Yes. I support local a lot. So I know most of the people you're talking about. I don't like to leave town or do big box anything unless I have to.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So now, given that my background is I have a cybersecurity company, so do you do a lot online? Do you have you used technology for your shop at all?
And you could teach me a slew. I'm sure of it. So no, my husband, he works for Lockheed Martin and he does a lot of IT there. He's been with them for years. So he is like a technological kind of guru, but I am and I married younger the second time around. So
You
I
go,
kind of,
girl.
I stacked the deck on that. I was like, okay, so I'm going to need somebody to push me in my wheelchair, and I was like, and I need technology, stamina. That's great too. So anyway, so I won out on the second go around. Okay.
Okay.
So no, not so much. We just opened up our website literally like 2 days ago.
Oh,
It's been
wow.
under construction forever. And that's because I'm running 2 businesses still. And I'm just one person and I still
busy.
have 2 young kids at home.
Oh, my
So,
goodness.
I got a getting ready to be 17-year-old and 13-year-old
Oh, wow.
boys. So it's like, I got lots of irons in the fire, you know?
Yes.
So, no, I never dreamed that the business was going to remember, I was only going to be doing services in a one little room. I never,
Yeah,
this
it's
was not my
amazing.
dream. It just happened. Like I said, I just said, I want to grow up and be happy. I didn't have any game plan. Just
Well,
things.
I think that you got what you wanted.
Yeah,
You look happy.
This is the happiest job I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it worked out that way. I forgot what your question was. I'm sorry. What did you just ask me?
Oh,
I think
about
that's-
technology with the
Oh
company.
yeah, so technology. So no, the only marketing I have done is through Facebook,
Oh, wow.
and it seems to work. I mean, I think it seems to work. Most people who come in, I'll ask, how did you hear about us? It's either word of mouth or it's Facebook. And we have a lot of people that come from different towns away too. I
really?
was really surprised by that. Like Harrisburg, E-Town, Nicholasville. I was really surprised by that. But the people who show up go, I'm not a metaphysical shop. It's a way different feel. I'm a holistic shop.
Okay.
Now I do have a couple of things within the shop, like crystals that you would find in a metaphysical shop.
Okay.
But that's not my game.
Right.
I'm about all holistic, earth-centered based treatments.
Got it.
All natural.
Okay.
So yeah, they tend to find me on Facebook. Now the algorithms are all wonky, and I don't understand all that. What I used to get, it seems like a lot more traction than what I do now. But again, I'm not that person. And my husband, whenever he's not doing his work, which is a lot, I have him doing my maintenance at an Airbnb or fixing something at the Broadway house. Oh, I need a ramp in the back for my handicapping, and now I need a front rail on those 2 steps on the front, and I need you to switch out these AC when it's, so bless his heart.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I know, bless his heart. But he's very tolerant of me. So no. So I haven't in an online shop. I haven't gotten to that point because that will be a whole leg of a business that I'm just now trying to catch up with what this level of business has brought, because I'd never expected
So I'm
it.
guessing a lot of, with the retail part of it, when people come in, it's a personal
It is.
connection service, and you making recommendations on what they
Yes.
might need. So
Yes.
doing that online might be a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes, they'll see maybe some jewelry that I offer, because I do have artists that make jewelry of earth-based things, whether they're making out of butterflies or flowers or moth wings or whatever. And then, or I guess the crystals and things like that maybe would be an online thing. But everything else, going into the apothecary room, they kind of need to read the stuff that's on all those herbal canisters to see what different things might work towards their ailments, because I'm not a doctor.
Right.
And I'm legally not allowed to give medical advice because I don't have that title. So I just tell them my experience, because I've always used herbs. I'm not against pharmaceuticals, but I will start natural, and usually I can cure whatever I need naturally.
Wow.
If I can't, then we'll move over into Western medicine. And I have no problems with that. My kids get vaccinations. I'm not, all natural. We're not going to do, that's not me. I think that Eastern and Western belong together.
Sure.
They need to meet in the middle somewhere to be the best for the person that's using it, the client.
Well, we're not so different, you and I. I mean, with cybersecurity, it's better to prevent an attack than to respond to an attack, right?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
prevention
Yeah.
is key. It's everything.
It sure is. A lot easier to deal with than
Absolutely.
So, out of your vast, because really this is relatively new, but you've got a lot of business experience. If somebody was going to come to you and say, I want to start a business, what, based on your experience, would you tell them you think they need to know?
Well, first, it's going to be hard work. if you're not committed or if your heart's not into whatever it is, business that you think you need to do it, don't start it. Because it's a lot of work and sometimes tears, the sweat, like I just said with the work. But if your heart space isn't in whatever it is that you're trying to go into, if you're going into it only for financial, it's not going to succeed. It isn't, or it's going to be very unauthentic.
Yeah.
So I try with any business that we've opened, whether I've helped other people open their business, first husband open his business, Greg and I opening up our businesses, I come from a heart space. I have to lead with ethics and with morals and with truth. And sometimes as hard as that truth might be, and I've had that skill set ever since college. I remember my friends going, don't ask Sarah's opinion because she's going to give it. And I had a policy. If you ask my opinion, be aware. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'll try to put a filter system on it a little bit and deliver it nice.
Right.
But I'm not going to lie to you. And my kids know I'm not going to blow smoke up their butt. I'm going to be straight at it. I'm going to tell you exactly, with love.
With love. That's right. My mom was that way. She was so funny. It was like, if she told you something, that's really what she thought. My son, it was so cute. He was like 12 years old and he was in this cooking class and he made this pumpkin soup. And so he said, Grandma, I'm going to make this pumpkin soup for you. So he made it and she tasted it. She was like, oh, that is horrible. And I was like,
and he's like,
Mom,
oh,
I know. I said, have a little bit of, and she says, well, I'm not going to tell him it's good if it's not. And so I told my son, I said, well, if Grandma tells you she likes it, then she really does. So we just kind of
right. Or you learn into a teaching moment. It's not so tasty yet, but Grandma can tell you the things to add to it to make it tasty.
Right.
Yeah, and then it doesn't quite pop the bubble so hard.
Right.
That's my example of a filter system when I tell you the truth.
Exactly. Yeah, she was low on filter.
I'm not. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But really, having that kind of philosophy when your customers come in, they know they can trust that you're being straight with them and that you aren't just, like you said, trying to blow smoke. You absolutely are giving them the best advice.
They'll come back and find me. What's the point of lying about something?
Right,
They're never going to come back and buy it again. And because of so many different lines of business that I've been in, Frankfort's a small town. Word of mouth is everything.
Right.
So you need to be true to your word. And if you're going to talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. That's
right.
kind of the way I do it.
Sarah Begin from Earth Alchemy and Frankfort Suites, thank you very much for being our guest on the Sidewalk CEO podcast.
That's right.
Appreciate
got it right.
you guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
You have been listening to the Sidewalk CEO podcast with Sheri Donahue of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity and Leo Haggerty of TCHQ Communications. You can learn more about the Sidewalk CEO on the web at thesidewalkceo.com and on social media. The Sidewalk CEO is recorded in the studios of TCHQ Communications in Frankfort, Kentucky. Check us out next week for the next episode of the Sidewalk CEO.